Good morning again. Good morning. Welcome to the next session on on appreciative inquiry, empowered worldview. Before you, we have Sarone Olesena. Is among those who have 50 years of experience, as Keynes was trying to introduce our friends. Is a professor of anthropology at MS TCDC, Danish, Tusa River, here in Arusha. He has been involved in empowered worldview through World Vision since 1986. He will do a brief introduction to it and give Macarius to proceed. And Macarius Charles is the head of business integration between World Vision Tanzania and Vision Fund Tanzania. He has practically been involved in programming and specifically empowered worldview since 2011, but in program he has been in 14 years. So we have, I'm also part of the ushers on this session. I would like to invite Professor Sarone to come and continue with the next session.
Morning. Can we greet each other? Say hello. Now, Joseph has outlined what we are going to do. Mine is going to be very brief. What we are going to do is I'm going to give you a very quick introduction on how we started the journey for 33 years from 1985, 86, and then I'll give it to my brother here. But I'll mention appreciative inquiry in the passing. But there is a paper on appreciative inquiry that you can read. Because we have been writing on appreciative inquiry since then. So how did this empowered worldview start? We were at that time struggling with communities all over the world. This is World Vision. And at that time, we didn't really have a methodology or an approach that respected, identified values that mattered with the communities, particularly those communities that were vulnerable. So we came up with participatory evaluation process in 1985. And at that time I was with World Vision, 1985, participatory evaluation process. Remember, in the 70s, the main focus was really technical, very technical. And so outsiders, consultants, very technically competent people would be working in communities and in rural as well as urban areas. And so in the 80s, there was a change of approach in working with the communities, and at that time, it wasn't necessarily working with, it was working for the communities, because we had just gotten independence all over Africa and in other places too. So participatory evaluation process focused mainly on two approaches. The emptiness approach, emptiness meaning you look at a community, you look at a people group, and you say they are so poor that they have no assets. They have really no capacities. They almost have nothing, absolutely nothing. So they are tabula rasa, empty. Or you look at the community and say the glass is half empty. The glass is half empty. Those are the two main approaches that were used in the 70s and early 80s, until we got to participatory evaluation process in 1985. But World Vision was not ready to get into the participatory and begin actually to look at the glass, whether it is half empty or half full. So participatory evaluation was dead and buried temporarily. But it was picked up by TARE Fund. But they did not call it participatory evaluation process. They called it CCMP, Church Community Mobilization Process. And I was involved in facilitating those workshops. Here, they wanted the church to be working with the community, to be a blessing to the community. So those are the books that we have, and you can Google. There are actually some free books by TARE Fund on CCMP. It became so powerful in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Uganda, and in other places that Compassion International picked it up and didn't call it CCMP. It called it CAVAH, QAVAH. And by that time, I was with Compassion International, so I brought in Appreciative Inquiry. Appreciative Inquiry works like this, that the glass is half full. So we started with emptiness-based approach. Then we got to the glass is half empty, and now the glass is half full. It is a mindset. It is an attitude, it is an approach that anybody can use within a community, whether urban or rural. So Compassion International then continued with this CAVAH approach by the same authors that put together CCMP until World Vision saw it and thought that this particular approach, which was theirs originally, should actually be revived. And so when it was resuscitated, it came as empowered worldview. And that is what we are going to present to you. So welcome to Empowered Worldview, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm just checking if my pointer does sense. Okay, thank you very much, my brother, Pastor Mayala. Thank you, my grandfather, Babu, Professor Ole Sarone. Yeah, sure. An experience of more than 50 years to me is even a senior Babu. Yeah, is even a senior Babu. So thank you very much for that. I really acknowledge and appreciate the introduction that we have done. Empowered worldview, basically, focusing, transitioning the communities from reliance to resilience is where our focus of presentation will be. As you can see over there, it's all about the mindset change. The mindset change. It is all about transforming our hearts, transforming our minds, and as well as transforming our pocket. So what? All that is for the well-being and the betterment of living. Transitioning the communities from reliance to resilience. This is an example, it's an engine. A reliance community is sort of a community which is still in darkness. You see? But if you go to a resilience community, you will see some lights, because that is an independent community. A reliance community, that means they are there to depend and rely on whatever they want for them to move on. This is a resilience community. You can see some lights. It's a community that can stand by itself. These are people who can stand by themselves. You see? This is an indicator of sustainable development. Worldview is a mindset that takes shape in the thought process within the mind. These thought processes consist of beliefs, values, and perceptions. Actually, these ideas are rooted in worldview. Actually, ideas rooted in worldview become expressed in a predictable behavior pattern. Worldview drives people's behavior, and therefore a changed mindset automatically yield to a different behavior. So, in a previous slide, we were just defining worldview by itself, whether it drives you into a positive direction or a negative direction. That was a definition of a worldview. But what is the main focus of our presentation is all about empowered worldview. It's a worldview that will drive you into a positive direction. So, what is empowered worldview all about? It is about discovering self-identity. It is all about development of character-based values. It is all about developing vision for a better future as God intended, our Almighty God, God Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Empowered worldview is all about empowered people who live out their identity and values to realize their new vision. We have quite a lot of definitions about empowered worldview, but I thought this could be just a summary to bring us into focus on what we are going to talk about. Why should we have empowered worldview? Empowered worldview brings a holistic transformation to the society in terms of mental, social, economic, and spiritual aspect. Today in our devotion in the morning, Pastor Mayala reminded us that the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. That is the software. And what is that all about? It's about a mental, social, economic, and spiritual changes. The other reason to why we should have empowered worldview is people, it inculcates people to be at the center of their own development. It also helps to build people capacity to drive things instead of waiting somebody to do so. It opens new ways of living that previously we were kind of locked in. It uncovers people's potential and make use of it. Take just a few seconds and have a look on that pic over there. I don't know if it's visible to where you are. And ask yourself, don't you know, most of you, if they see this, they focus the community. You may also think of yourself as well. What is that blocking you toward moving forward? The horse is quite very strong, but it is just standing there because it's the chair blocking the horse to move. But it's all about mindset transformation. The moment the horse knows that it's the chair blocking it from moving away, the more the horse realizes that it has capacity to move. That's all about the mindset transformation we're talking about. What are the features of a disempowered community? What are the features of a Reliance community? One of them, a disempowered community, feel isolated. Feel like, you know, we are forgotten, you know. They feel isolated. They feel powerless. They feel more vulnerable. They feel they are physically weak. They have the spiritual poverty. Spiritual poverty. They have the material poverty. These are some aspects of a disempowered community or a Reliance community. But now, let's get a theoretical perspective of how a resilience or an empowered community looks like. A resilience is transforming a resilience community from farming is production for subsistence to farming for business and household nutrition. We need to transform a Reliance community from non-visionary to visionary. We need to transition a Reliance community from having fatalistic dependent, from fatalistic dependent household to being entrepreneurs. We need to transition Reliance community from work in isolation to a work together spirit. A together we can spirit. Working alone, you cannot move further, but working together, you move further. Transforming a Reliance community from embracing chains of poverty to breaking chains of poverty. Transitioning a Reliance community from nutrition blind to nutrition sensitive. Transitioning a Reliance community from gender blind to gender sensitive. Transitioning a Reliance community from traditional and witchcraft belief to God's love. These are some practical aspects of how a resilience or empowered community looks like. This is a pic of a woman actually engaging practically on digging the water pan to harvest the water for irrigating in the household garden and horticultural farming. Here, this is a group indicating a work together spirit, the self-identity that when they realize that they can do by themselves, then they are there to show that. It's God's love. This pic was taken from Pangaro. I think that some people who are here comes from Same. This Pangaro, one of a savings group, whereby this is a Maasai pastor who they do devotion before they do savings group. That's God's love. The other feature of an empowered community is income diversification. You do agro-input business, you do farming, so that a household become more resilient. Financial literacy, financial education, whereby our communities are taught on financial education, entrepreneurship skills, financial discipline. How can they invest? How can they use what they get well, so that they increase their household income and take care of their children, the entire family as well. Nutrition sensitive. Most of the household have at least some gardens whereby they can access vegetable for the family and children as well. Here, commercial farming. These are the communities transitioning from using the hand hoe to mechanized agriculture, use of combined harvesters, use of tractors. You see, these are the features of the resilience community. And lastly, a resilience community members are visionary. They are there to at least see, oh, my children go to school. They are there to see, oh, my children have to go to university. They are there to see, oh, how could our village be perhaps in 5 or in 10 years to come? So they are visionary, unlike Reliance community. I cannot go much on this one. You can read by yourself. These are some faith book reference from the Bible indicating the hard-working spirit. Matthew 25, verse 22, or like 2 Thessalonians 3:10, if you would not work, neither should you eat, etc. So you can read this by yourself, because all we do, our faith book support empowered worldview. Our faith book support change of mindset. And this is just one of the evidence for that. I believe even the Muslim have the same as well. Now, some cases of health and nutrition mindset related issues. One of them is food consumption, like eggs and milk. I've taken this quote from one of the evaluation that we have done. But before that, let me acknowledge that, we have not done quite a lot of studies to show the impact of empowered worldview, but at least these are some of the studies we have done, and they've started showing promising results on how effective empowered worldview is when used. So, let me read this quote. In our Sukuma land in Nyamwezi culture, you need to understand that mtindi and ugali is the main dish, and we define wealth as having many livestock. So when we feed eggs to a child, it is like losing a whole chicken. Additionally, it is rare for us to slaughter a livestock, including chicken, for food only when they are sick, so that we save them from dying in the bushes. This is a quote from the control group, Local Value Chain Project 2016. Additionally, you only slaughter a chicken when you have an important visitor. That's the other mindset issue. So let me go some other mindset related issues as far as nutrition, health and nutrition is concerned. Some these are some of the mindset-related issues. Some nutritious food taken by communities is inferior. Like ugali wa dona, I don't know how we can call it in English. Ugali wa dona. Amaranth. At home, my mother is over 80 years. If I bring ugali wa dona, he tells me, hey, I hate seeing ugali wa dona. I don't need to eat. But worse enough, it was once recommended by the doctor that she has to eat ugali wa dona, but she doesn't like eating ugali wa dona. To an extent that if I bring at home ugali wa dona, sometimes she uses her own money to go and take ugali wa sembe and cook for her, because she loves eating ugali wa sembe. But is it nutritious? It's a mindset issue. Some pastoral communities reluctant to eat some nutritious meal, such as fish and vegetable. Of course, for especially the master communities, some of them are nowadays changing, but still most of them say, should I eat fish? Should I eat vegetable? Am I a goat to eat vegetable? You see, so there are those mindset issues. Adults are prioritizing children. If you have meals set at the table, then you say, okay, hey, wait, let adult first take food, is it? And even for the Maasai, if you slaughter a cow or a goat, there's some special meat for the adult. For men. Specifically for men. Women, second priority. Children, third priority. Shameful for men to feed children. Like, I see a man feeding a child. It's shameful. We have that mindset as well. Shameful for men escorting their wife to clinic. Sincerely, if I ask my fellow men who are here, how many of you have ever escorted your wife to a clinic? You see, how many? Of course, myself, I went once. But you can see most of us have not. And the mindset, empowered worldview, is not for them. It is for us all as well. We are busy. But if you live just for your wife, that's why you have nutrition issues. Shameful for men to get into the kitchen and cook. The community will laugh at you. But how can women get quality time for children if we cannot help them? This belief that healthy people are only those with pot belly. You know what a pot belly is? Pot vitambi. I'm sorry if you are blessed to have it and you are here, but I'm sorry for that. But I'm talking of vitambi. You see, if you go to a community like the way I am, and somebody with a vitambi, and you ask those community members, who is healthier? Do you think who will probably be voted more? The one with what? Mindset issue. Malnutrition children sometimes is linked to witchcraft. I was once in Maswa. Then we were just moving on in a village. Then my fellow staff told me, hey, Makarus, these small houses you see here, this is called a referral hospital. Then I said to myself, wow, Maswa is quite developed. They even have a referral hospital in such a rural context. Then later I asked him, Father, can you tell me more of this referral hospital? He told me, oh, that is a referral hospital from witchcraft point of view. That means if you go to what do you call this waganga wa kienyeji? What? Law? Witchcraft. So witchcraft doctors. If you go to a junior witchcraft doctor, you're just treated. But if you are brought to this one, the one I told you, this is a referral hospital for the witchcraft doctors. Yeah. The government is there for us and for everything. And production is for subsistence. What are the actions actually done by World Vision and other partners as well that we are working with to address this situation? We've made Empowered Worldview being a foundational pillar in our World Vision programming. We have over 684 nutrition groups formed. As a result, made counseling to over 21,000 pregnant mothers for the past 3 years. World Vision has mobilized more than 4,500 savings groups with more than 110,000 members so that they could access capital to invest on businesses to get more income and use that income as well to buy nutritious food and meals for their children and household as well. We had more than 250 staff exposed to Yata and trained on Empowered Worldview. Yata is in Kenya, so our staff were trained over there to change their mindset so that they can do the same to the communities we're working as well. Also, we had over 1,500 community facilitators trained so that we make Empowered Worldview as a movement, not just a mere action. Empowered Worldview curriculum developed and used for training internally, and I think externally is available as well. We have linked the over 172 smallholder farmers to access loans from Vision Fund for the past 5 years. Vision Fund, Tanzania Microfinance Bank. So if you are here and you are looking for a partner to work with to get financial support, then Vision Fund is there for that, and I'm the right person to talk with. World Vision has also done financial education, that means entrepreneurship skills, financial disciplines to more than 30,000 smallholder farmers. The development and launching of Empowered Worldview book at the national level. This was done in Dar es Salaam, and the Prime Minister was there launching the book, so it's now a nationwide sort of movement. Market connection through local value chain development approaches and other partners such as GAFCO, Farm Concern International, etc., to smallholder farmers. Development of integrated food and nutrition security technical programs so that we ensure the nutrition aspect is incorporated in all programming that is done in World Vision. And also development of more than 30 faith-based leaders, 30 faith-based savings group for faith leaders. This is done, and thank you very much for Father Jabu and Pastor Mayala on that, because we are having both Muslim and Christians faith leaders working together in savings group, and that is one of the components we are transitioning our minds and to ensure that our faith leaders are well baptized to keep on building the capacity of their followers as well. Now, what are the scientific results after all the effort we've done in World Vision using Empowered Worldview, of course, in combination with other project models such as local value chain development, savings group, channels of hope, celebrating families, farmers managing natural regeneration. We have quite a combination of models, but the foundational one is Empowered Worldview. These are some of the results that gives us promising, a kind of promising result and promising direction that this is the way to go. Percent increase of farmers participating in savings group actually increased from 17% to 28%. This is from one of our projects called the Mwanzo project. And we see percent of beneficiaries consuming plant protein increased from 26 to 73%. This is from the local value chain project in Nzega. We have percent of beneficiaries consuming animal protein increased from 10% to 34%. And this is as well from the local value chain project in Nzega. And we see proportion of household with year-round access to sufficient food for family needs increased from 19% to 63%. This is from the THRP project in Same. We see percent of parents and caregivers able to provide well for their children increased from 25% to 64%. This is also from the THRP project in Same. Percent of farmers who report improved access to various market-related information increased from 18% to 53%. This is from the THRP Tanzania Household Resilience Project in Same. Percent of farmers who are participating in profitable value chain and organized market increased from 2.4% to 22.7% as well from the THRP project in Same. And percent of beneficiaries using mobile phones to access market information, of course, increased from 4 to 13% as well. Yes. Apart from these promising results that we have done, and maybe before I give this, I go to the challenges. It's worth for you to know that there are areas whereby World Vision worked for more than 15 years. But by the time World Vision is phasing out, that community was like even more poorer than the time we went into that area. Why? We are using the old methodology of just dishing handouts, of just giving them without changing their mindset. But the moment we realize the mindset transformation, empowered worldview, is the key to sustainable development, is where we started to see the changes. Where we started seeing now some progress is done in the communities that we are working with. So apart from the promising result we have seen, these are the challenges that we have seen. One of them is, it is resource heavy. It requires a lot of time and trained personnel to use empowered worldview and a combination of other models as well to inculcate holistic transformation in our communities. It is resource heavy. The second challenge, there are external factors that can work against the progress made. Example, in some areas where we work, World Vision use empowered worldview, use empowerment approaches, like we no longer give you handouts. You see, if we call you into the seminars, if we call you into the seminars or if we work with you, we cannot give you sort of handouts, but we need you to stand and use your own resources for development. But now, there comes other organizations who say, hey, World Vision is doing like, to us, just take money. You see? So, those are some of the external factors really giving us challenge on this. There was a time we had a workshop on training input suppliers. And we told the input suppliers, you come to the workshop and you will pay for it. And they did so, they paid. But it came the other organization say, no need of paying, just come, we do everything for you. Those are the challenges we see. The other challenge is management of expectation. If you talk to people, they feel like, oh wow, even you here, you say, if I go and use empowered worldview, use empowerment approaches, the result will just come immediately. No, it requires time. So we also face challenges on managing expectation. The last, most of the practitioners think that mindset issues is for them. and not for us. Even here, some people might be thinking that, the mindset issue is for the communities, but not for us. Or here, it's also the other challenge. Conclusion, we are seeing evidence that empowered worldview works and catalyzes sustainable development. And empowered worldview is more effective if integrated with other interventions as well. Working with faith leaders, both Muslim and Christian, has proven to fasten effectiveness of empowered worldview. And last, intervention targeting household is more powerful than those targeting an individual. You go to a household, you only target a woman, you leave a man. But if you target both of them, it's more powerful than targeting just one individual. Thank you very much. Be blessed.
Yeah,
while reading the course that are just over there. If nutrition and development is not engendered, then it is endangered. And we have dry minds and not dry lands. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Sarone and Makalios. Just to remind you, for some of you, World Vision is a Christian organization, child-focused, community empowering. It's a Christian organization, child-focused, and community empowering. Empowered Worldview has also engaged Muslim communities. In March this year, we had an Empowered Worldview book launch in Dar es Salaam, which was featuring stories from Malawi, from Kenya, Tanzania, those countries which they have also implemented Empowered Worldview. And it was so moving. I remember the Minister for Health was there as a guest of honor, and we had a sheikh from Mueza, Sheikh Zuberi, who has gone through the Empowered Worldview, sharing the powerful story on how his mindset has been transformed as a result of these engagements, and how he has even started transforming the communities where he's leading. Empowered Worldview has brought pastors and Muslims together, has created platforms for many things in building peace in those communities as well. And as Professor Sarone said, he mentioned about Tear Fund, he mentioned about Compassion International. All together, World Vision Tanzania organized a summit in 2013, around February. And I was among the participants when I was a country director for Compassion International. Rethinking the process of development approaches. And therefore, Empowered Worldview is an approach which organizations which are practitioners in terms of eradicating poverty, in terms of the child well-being and the other related issues have been practicing for many years. So it's a product, it's an initiative which has brought thinkers in terms of development work. Empowered Worldview, as Makarios has said, this is an initiative which we are continuing to realize the impact, and soon probably we'll do a proper study on the impact and bring more lessons on it. So with that short remarks, we are now open for questions.
This is your chance.
I want to thank you so very much for this program, and I just really am excited with your idea. The glass is half full, not half empty. That means so much from even our Christian viewpoint, our faith. Do we really trust the Lord? So I really appreciate that, and the way that you encourage that in the people makes all the difference in the world in their success. Thank you so much.
I'm Rose Margaret Opelli. I say wow to this presentation. And this presentation said it all in as far as challenges are concerned. Looking at our interventions. Truly, what you have presented is exactly what is happening in as far as challenges is concerned. And my being here has actually elevated my capacity to be able to even do better, because the organization that I'm overseeing the activities is yet a very young organization. It's barely 1 year. So the enormous knowledge that I've gotten from here has built my capacity. This particular presentation is wow.
Is it my turn? You gave some really interesting examples of worldview problems faced by the people who receive aid from people like us. You gave us some very specific examples of mindset problems that people like us had in the 70s. And then in the end, you gave us, one of the points in the slide was that there are still mindset problems for people like us as well as for the people who we're trying to reach. But you didn't give us any specific examples, I don't think. So where are we missing the mark now?
So it's good for me to see Dr. Olesena again. Long time ago we worked together, and I guess my question is mostly to him for the long experience. Now that I work with Asia people, I see the pattern that you have to really work with the staff people to get them to understand this big idea about mindset and how we think and feel. I see this in myself, to be honest, to change the way I look at my own, you could say, own glass, half empty, half full, to think of problems or to think of assets inside of me. Huh? Anyway, so my question, if you could share more experience about changing the mindset of yourself and being a facilitator to help the staff of World Vision change their own outlook and their own mindset.
Well, sorry, mine is, well, what I wanted to talk about has been already talked about, but I just want to say that it is very true when, in our case, we have entrepreneurial seminars and people, the participants, pay for them. And it was very hard for us in the beginning when we started, because those other people who are doing it, they do it for free. The banks train their customers for free. NGOs train for free. So when we come and we charge, and we don't even give them lunch, it becomes very hard. But let me say, the mindset has to be changed. And thank you very much for the very good presentation. It gives us some warmth to see that even the big organizations like World Vision are thinking the way that we think. Thank you.
So we respond. Let me start by answering the question on you personally working on yourself. You cannot really give what you do not have. You cannot lead or take someone to where you want him or her or them to go unless you yourself have been there. So for Empowered Worldview, we have to work on stuff much harder and spend many years. So my friend Kinsey was asking you to give me more questions so that I can speak, right? That is a mindset issue. Because it assumes that people who have gray hair have more information and are more empowered than those that do not. And it is, I'm not putting my friend down. I'm just saying that unless you change your mindset yourself and move towards becoming a facilitator, enabling these young people, you will remain on the job for 50, 55, 60, 70, until, unfortunately, you are pushed, you are thrown out. Because the young people have been watching and asking when is he or she or they going to empower us. But instead of empowering, most of us disempower so that we then remain the only ones who are doing it. So to my friend over there behind, my colleague who had worked with me for many years, we have to move the practitioners, the development workers, to the level where they are facilitating, enabling, and building capacity. And that is what I do, I hope, for these young people. That is why I'm a mentor to them, so that they too can have mentees, those that they will capacitate, enable, facilitate. So that would be my answer, and especially among the staff, because staff come with the glass is empty. And I actually asked that we get some 3 glasses. This is the tabula rasa. This is a tabula rasa. A lot of us look at individuals, look at teams, look at communities, look at organizations as empty. There is no such thing. There is nothing like that in any organization, that the organization is so empty. In fact, in those books that were written many years ago on churches, we have, as human beings, 549 talents. 549 talents. Just imagine. 549 talents. Now, those talents in the 60s and 70s generally focus on IQ. IQ, intelligent quotient, which means MA over CA times 100, meaning tests and exams. And we are still doing that for many years. Someone was asking, where are we going wrong? We go wrong in our school systems, where we have become tests and exam oriented. So we are helping our kids pass exams, but they cannot really function. They cannot function because they have, yes, passed exams and got 9 over 10 or 90 over 10, but they cannot solve a life problem or a life issue because they are school oriented, they are school based, they are test and exam based. And so measuring IQ, which is what psychologists and other practitioners do, measuring IQ will give you an IQ of 100, 120, 125, 130, 135, and they say this is a genius. A genius who cannot fix his or her car. Just an example of that. A genius who cannot help with nutrition. A genius, in other words, we have a wrong approach to education. I'm not talking about schooling. We tend to put too much trust on school as opposed to education. As opposed to education. And so I'm challenging you to say that there is no human being, even the so-called those who have less IQ measured by mental age over chronological age times 100 in order to get IQ. If you have an IQ of 100, 90, 85, they will call you retarded. Retarded. And so those are the groups of people that we call tabula rasa. They have nothing. There is no such thing. There is absolutely no such thing. Why? That theory of tabula rasa has actually been destroyed. We now have EQ. EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence says 4 things. 1, are you self-aware? Who are you? Who are you? Very simple. Who are you? Have you actually taken the time as a human being to know who you are, apart from my names are? Beyond my names are or my name is. Who are you? The second aspect of emotional intelligence is self-management. Self-management. It has something to do with mindset. Who are you? Now I know. Do you then use that knowledge and the knowledge that I'm about to talk about to manage yourself? Because we have so many people who cannot manage themselves, herself or himself. The third aspect of emotional intelligence is social awareness. Social awareness. You have a neighbor. That is what the Bible talks about. That you love God and you love your neighbor. Now, on this social awareness, are you aware of your neighbor? Who is even your neighbor? Who is your neighbor? If I ask you, who is your neighbor? You might have a hard time answering that. And the fourth aspect of emotional intelligence is social management or relationship management. How do you then deal with the command to love your neighbor, which is a fourth element of emotional intelligence? Now, so IQ, EQ. There is another theory on the Qs, the intelligence, which is MI. Are we stuck with IQ, being able to answer 9 out of 10 questions, which is what IQ does? Are we stuck then with the 4 areas of EQ, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, social management or relationship management? There is another theory that says human beings generally have multiple intelligence. Multiple intelligence. It is not 4 EQ. It is not mathematical 9 over 10. It is multiple intelligence. It depends on a mindset. How do you look at Kinsey, for example? How many intelligence and talents does he have? Up to 549. Imagine. And we use only about 10. So I was responding to basically 2 questions, but there is another response that I like to give. There is someone who is asking where are we going wrong, or what is happening now? Why are we not getting it? And Kinsey referred to a book that all of us should read, especially those of us, because I think the questioner, the person who asked the question, is probably outside Tanzania, or may have lived in Tanzania but had come from outside. That particular book called When Helping Hearts. When Helping Hearts. What that book is saying, because Kinsey was asking us whether we have reviewed that particular book, and I have. The paper that he was flagging actually summarizes some of the insights of that particular book written in US. And my interest was to look at the book and see whether we can put it in African, Asian, and other continents contexts. And what the book is talking about is appreciative inquiry. Appreciative inquiry. Now, A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. And A, B, C, D. And you must make sure you get a copy of that paper of mine, because it is a 20-year experience. A stands for assets, and B stands for base, and C stands for community, and D stands for development. So it is assets, base, community, development, which is basically appreciative inquiry. Now that was, I talked about tabula rasa, emptiness. Emptiness, you don't have anything. Your child, by the way, cannot be tabula rasa. A lot of parents receive marks from schools, and they show your child has 41 over 100, and you say, this child of mine is stupid. You are just like your who? Your mom. Usually it is man-oriented, so it is exactly your mom. 41, that is what your mom got when she went to school. And that is how your mom is now. And it is a male-dominated bit. That is when you receive marks from kids and you see 41, and you see 39, and you see 49, and you see 17 over 100, you say, my child is failing. And so what do? What you do is tabula rasa. You focus on the emptiness, and you first of all beat the child. You beat the child, especially in this context of ours, don't we? Or you pinch the child. You pinch the child very hard. This is our context again. Or you pinch on the ears, and you call her or him names, because you're focusing on tabula rasa. You're focusing on emptiness. When in fact, you should have been, or you may be focusing on the glass is 3/4 empty. The glass is 3/4 empty. The glass is 15 over 16 empty. And so this child is useless, absolutely useless, and is going to fail. It's going to fail in the exam. I'm giving you a very practical something, because I've been a teacher for 50 years, that I have seen over and over again. And parents call me in to see if I can talk to them, to the kids. And I say, no, I don't want to talk to the kid. I want to talk to you. Because it is a mindset issue. It is you, the parent, and the teachers. The teachers, so after parents will go together to the teachers, because the child is 15 over 16 now, according to the report that are measuring IQ. But actually, the glass is 1/16 full. And that is what we want to focus on. Not 15 over 16 full. If there is the tiniest capacity, the tiniest hope, the tiniest passion of a child or community or whoever you're working with, that is what you should be focusing on. It is moving forward. No human being is able to run backwards fast. Have you seen anybody? No, you can only run forward, which is using the little energy and the little skill and the little capacity. I'm even going to reduce it some more. Just to make that pregnant point, that the child may actually only have this. You have to look for it if it is not there. You have to look for it if it is not there. Or the community, or whoever is your client or your partner or your customer. You have to look for it, because that is what you need. My friend who said, why are we going wrong? To build on it, local capacity, local capacity, local capacity, local capacity. It doesn't matter. By the way, I have 7 degrees, me. Does not matter, Kinsey, doesn't matter how many degrees I have, or the 50 years I have worked in community development,
what matters and what should be measured is how much of my experience and my degrees and what God has given me has helped discover the little light, the one talent that the local community or the student or the child or whoever you're working with has, and has actually built it to the point where he says or she says, hallelujah, in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Like in New Zealand. I went to New Zealand in 1996 to work with the CEO of World Vision at that time, who was a principal in a school. This is in New Zealand. And while he was principal, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Kinsey, you wanted me to open my mouth, right? This is the last thing I want to say so that others can say things too. Because it is a mindset, again. It is a mindset. Those of us who are a little bit older monopolize. Those of us who are men monopolize. Those of us who are older ladies monopolize. So it is a mindset issue and we need to challenge it everywhere. In Africa, in Asia, everywhere. So I went to New Zealand and I was working with CEO World Vision New Zealand, who was a principal in this school, and it is the story of the school that I'm talking about. And he had 400 students. 400 students, and they did a national exam. And so there was a 400th child, the child who was last in this national exam. They were doing an assessment. So he asked me, with your appreciative inquiry, what do you do? This is a child who is 400. Last. Absolutely last. So I say to him, this child has multiple intelligence. Let's go and discover what these multiple intelligence are. So we visited him in his family's home to find out what talents out of the 549 he had. And just the visit, I'm not going to prolong the story, just the visit by the principal and a visitor interested in me. Guess what he did? He wrote a letter to the principal to say, that one visit, even though I was last nationally, has lifted me up. And now I have a leave of strength, which I can now use to live my life. Hallelujah. You see, that is what this little something does within empowered worldview. Within empowered worldview, based on the biblical Jesus of Nazareth. So when I hear Ashindwe is not enough. She has got to be Ashindwe kwa jina katika jina la Yesu. Because there are Ashindwe in Acts chapter 3 verse 6 did not do it. In fact, when Paul went to another place and he said Ashindwe without invoking Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the people ran to him to say there is a witch doctor who has come into town. But in Acts chapter 3 verse 6, when they say, in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, get up and walk. And so the guy did what? Got up and walked because of the name of Jesus Christ. Hallelujah.
Okay, who am I to speak speak after the professor has spoken.
That is a mindset.
So I still need to study and graduate more on mindset. Thank you very much. There is a question about resources. We have not done a comprehensive study really on how much resource has to be invested to yield this one as far as empowered worldview is concerned, so that we can get the unit cost on how much we can invest per person. But what I'm sure from my experience, World Vision operates in area program for more than 15 years. It could be having a budget of more than 5 million or so, 5 million or so US dollars. But staying for 15 years with that amount of budget, and you leave that community more poor, and using about $500,000 US dollars, invest and get this promising result, you can see which direction do we have to go. So but by now, I cannot give quite scientific data on that. Maybe it's an area we still need to work on it, but at least it is showing us promising results.
Thank you so much, Professor Saroni and Macalius. By the way, that is part of faith and development in World Vision. Therefore, with that note, we would like to extend our appreciation for your engagement. Thank you so much for your comments. And we look forward to continue learning more. But you're free to ask us questions as we continue to take lunches and break times. Kins, back to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You can be returning to your place.